What's up, guys? How's it going? I wanted to go ahead and I'm gonna just kind of showcase Seth a little bit. I was kind of thinking, some people were kind of wondering, if in brief, what is Seth? How do you get Seth? What is Seth useful for? And all that jazz. If any of those questions are something on your mind, I'm gonna go ahead and answer them in this video. So, in short, alright, Seth is acquired from a limited time event called Ruthless Invasion, okay? Just like any event, the more you spend, the more you're going to get the fragments. Now, the kicker with this is, unlike a lot of other heroes that you're going to be able to get access to, once the event ends, chances are you're not going to be able to get all the fragments for this guy. That means, in short, anytime you look at somebody like Seth is going to be one of those heroes that you're only going to be able to get if you got a lot of moolah. But, now, with that in mind, alright, what does that mean for the average person? Well, it means if you're going to buy into Ruthless Invasion, you are going to be able to get access to a hero that other people more than likely won't be able to get for quite some time. And chances are, it may not, who knows? We may not see this event for a while. Now, with that in mind, there are a few things that I would like to point out. What exactly, is Seth capable of, and really what do you use him for? Now, he's a Vanguard veteran and war hero. Now, of course, he's hero comboed with Sicarius and Ernica. Now, if you don't know who Seth, or rather, you don't even know what to do with Seth, I'm going to point out that, he's increasing your Vanguard attack and HP. Now, if you go by the mythology of what I like to consider the 3 wins in any pay-to-win game, it goes attack, HP, and defense in order of priority. So anytime you get an increase to your attack and your HP, you're immediately increasing the point at which you're able to kill units, and also simultaneously you're increasing the units at which are going to live, right? And by dropping defense during an attack, and ultimately what you're doing in this case is you're actually increasing it, not decreasing it. But what I'm trying to get at is so basically the players that you are going to go up against with Seth would give you an advantage if you're going to use Vanguard veterans. That means any Vanguard veteran-based hero, whether that be Shrike, which, again, you've probably seen Shrike, and otherwise, if you haven't, you will eventually, okay, who's another Vanguard veteran. There are, plenty of other options, like you've got Corsaro, and if you're really wanting to dabble, personally, I feel like, you could go with Vex, but he's not the best one in the bunch. You'd actually might have a better time with Adremus. The thing with Adremus, though, and this is the big if, is, you got to get the medals for these guys. And this is kind of the big if whenever you're looking at legendaries, is most of the legendaries are going to be what I consider to be a little bit more difficult, not so catered to the free-to-play, more catered to the pay-to-win player base in the game. Now, with that in mind, you also want to kind of wonder, well, what exactly are the skills? What does Seth, as far as skills, have? So you have Blood Reaver, which, as far as attack bonuses go, you're getting 290 for 3 seconds, which is pretty decent. Rather, this is just where he's at. Statistically, this is actually going to vary because, when you start out versus where, if you'd actually had him from beginning to end, this gives you kind of a concept of what you're really working with in the beginning. The late game of it, though, is actually substantial. Like, you're looking at, almost a near 500% increase in just that skill alone, which means in expeditions and stuff like that, he's going to be pretty useful. But something that has caught a lot of people's attention is actually this Whirlwind of Gore skill, which increases army accuracy while attacking by a set amount. Now, I kind of hypothesize here really what they're trying to say here, and this is more than likely something that they'll more than likely try to make more clear in the future, but from what I've gathered, it's the only thing that would make any sense, which is to say that a lot of other skills in the game, alright, there's a dodge chance, there's crit chance, there's, various different debuffs that get applied. There's actually quite a bit of things under the hood that I would say, all right, probably not fully clear to most people yet, and it's something that is still ongoing, right? But whenever you're looking at the statistics in terms of what is Seth really going to mean for everybody, the one thing that I'm going to say right now is army accuracy ultimately is going to probably mean that if, let's say, you attack somebody, I don't necessarily think this is going to cancel out dodge per se, but rather it's going to increase the likelihood that if, let's suppose, a dodge chance of like 20% is there, and then this is really assuming, let's say I put 3 dodge heroes in there, I increase my dodge chance to a fairly high number, then Seth is going to be kind of the counter to this. Whereas to say, it may not negate it completely, right? But it's going to increase the likelihood for said units to actually land their hits in the event of a dodge. Now, I don't necessarily know if that's really what they're trying to get at, or if that's, and this is, completely, again, we're purely hypothesizing here, because we really don't actually know what this mechanic is doing, right? It's still a little bit murky in terms of what the skill's for, but we think it's a counter dodge skill. It's really what we're at with it. Okay, but another theory I had here was, if arming accuracy, right, is a translation for something along the lines of like, okay, the likelihood for something to land a certain percentage amount, right? Like, if you're going to increase that percentage at which something lands, or presumably would land damage on, I almost want to treat this more like a crit chance bonus than I do want to treat it like a dodge chance modifier that's going to somehow adjust dodge. But again, where exactly this stands is, it's murky at best, but I really do think it's probably more catered to the counter dodge theory right now than it is anything else. Outside of that, of course, you've got Iron Will, which I honestly love Iron Will as an ability, because that's going to pretty much cut down on a lot of the damage that you're going to take. And then you've got that added bonus with the increase to damage taken by enemy army. Like, that one's actually, it's kind of funny, because Opportunity Strike is kind of like one of the skills that, if you read that quite literally, you would think that what they're really trying to say is, well, yeah, it increases the damage taken by the enemy army by 10%, i.e. it means you're increasing the damage, or are you decreasing the damage? It's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. That obviously can confuse somebody very quickly. If you read that and interpret it quite literally, it just comes out sounding like, well, wait a minute, why would I want to increase the damage at which I'm taking damage? Why would that, be a factor that would be of some value to me? And like here, if you look at like Zealous Assault, when an army attacks, 30% chance to increase the damage dealt by 42%. When an army takes damage, there's a 7.92% chance to dodge it. And then there's a certain percentage at which, there's a 10% to cause a debuff, which then increases a damage rate on the target for 10 seconds. Now, I mean, that's, I'm just throwing these things out for you guys so you can kind of look at Seth more objectively. Ultimately, that is really all that you would need to know, though, as far as Seth is concerned. I would say for most players, if you're aiming to get Seth, I definitely think you're going to have a lot of utility fragments in the long term in order to get him up to par with a lot of the other legendaries in the game. Now, as far as where I'm taking him, I mean, I'm going to go all in, because ultimately one of the nice benefits of having someone like Seth is that whopping beautiful attack defense increase, which paired up with Urnica and with Sicarius is actually going to make a fairly deadly combination as far as, if you want full waves of vanguards, it's going to be fantastic. But ultimately, that is that, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully you learned a thing or two about our guy Seth here. So, in any case, I'll see you guys to the next video.